the work done by them. So this is why we, in conjunction with our colleagues from South Africa, we decided also to promote locally this important and useful INCOSE tool. So, and I want to thank everybody who was involved in this initiative. So I leave the floor to BMC, who will make the introduction, and then following BMC, there will be the speech from Don and Dish on the INCOSE Professional Development Portal. Thank you very much to everyone.
Thank you, Francesco. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. No, yeah, first I would like to thank the Italian chapter. I think this is probably our third event where we are collaborating together. And yeah, it's always a great pleasure to have such collaboration between the INCOSE chapters. And I would also like to thank from our side, our team who work behind the scene to make this happen. One of them is Mulawa, who's our programs officer. He was here just shortly, but due to other commitments at home, I think he's gonna leave soon, or he may have already left the meeting. So I will just continue with the rest of the presentation and his part. So maybe we can go on the next slide. So yeah, this is a background just at a high level. So as we know, INCOSE as an international organization, and it's a non-profit organization, but yeah, it tries to create that platform where we can all engage in terms of system engineering, share our ideas, present our work. So it's a good networking platform, but at the same time, it's educational, and also it can advance our career into system engineering and applying system approaches towards solving our problems. Currently, as it stands, it's over 18,000 members, as we can see, and over 74 chapters in 35 countries. And next slide. INCOSE is maybe in terms of system engineering or hierarchy, we can say there's 3 levels, of which the highest level is the actual INCOSE Central, but that is divided into sectors. And these are the 3 sectors that we see here, which is America, EMEA, which is where we are based now, and also the Asia. So locally, just in the South African context, we are give or take 200 members at this point in time. So on the next slide. So there's always a question, especially in terms of attracting membership, you know, it's always the case, what's in it for me? And maybe this slide at a very high level is trying to capture that, you know, being part of INCOSE members, these are some of the things you can potentially leverage on. You know, as much as we have over 18,000 members, which are official INCOSE members, but our events are usually open to both members and non-members, which means we connect both members and non-members who attend our events. So that is a leverage that you can have. And we also have other certification program. I will show you on the next slide or so, the different levels of our certification. I think we can stay on the previous slide. Yeah, but we have various programs also within INCOSE, and we have highlighted a few of them there, which is the technical leadership program. Today, we are attending this program that will be presented, which is a new initiative. The professional development portal is some of the initiatives that we have. But at the key milestones, some of our biggest events is the international workshop of the INCOSE and the international symposium. So yeah, I think these are some of the few things in terms of when you think of joining INCOSE, and as well as collaboration with experts. In other words, you are not bounded to your own country. When you network and you engage people who share the same vision or work on similar projects, this could be the platform to engage and connect and learn some of the best practices which other people could be using in their own organizations. Next slide. On the working groups, this is just a snapshot of a few that are existing out there. But the key thing maybe that I can say around the working groups, you know, as you can see there, it's the working groups create the resource practitioners need. So the nice thing is that various working groups can be targeted based on your interests, whether you are interested, say, in integration and verification, or you are interested in human system integration. But working groups gives you that focus area so that you can work with people in a much more depth on that particular area of interest. And one of the outcomes is that working materials, whether it's templates, checklists, or papers, can be generated through these working groups and are shared globally with all the INCOSE members so that they can learn and apply some of the things within their daily works. On the next slide. So yeah, this slide, I won't spend a lot of time, but it just gives you some of the technical products that can be generated, whether through our events or through the working groups. So being part of INCOSE, you get access to some of these resources. And you can see there as an example, the top one, some of the resources, they are members only where they don't pay price, but non-members, they have a price to pay. But in certain instances, we do share even to non-members some of the material for free, but you get much more value being part of INCOSE member through our INCOSE Connect site. On the next slide. So I mentioned that you get various certification programs through system engineering. And the first one, basically, that is the knowledge-based kind of certification where you need to go and write a certification exam for INCOSE. And if you've passed that certification exam, you are certified as Associate System Engineering Professional. And that certification lasts for about 5 years. And the second level of certification is the CSEP, whereby there, combining the theoretical exam that you have passed and 5 years of working experience, especially in certain identified areas of system engineering, then you can make an application and provide your evidence, and therefore you can be evaluated. And if you fulfill all the goals, then you will be certified as a system engineer. So the middle one basically is exam plus the practical experience that you have within system engineering. Then at the high level, then that's how you get your expert system engineers, depending, it could be 20 years plus or 25 years plus. So basically, these are the people who have worked for so long in system engineering. And in certain instances, they may not even need to write an exam. If they provide sufficient experience reports to show, they don't even need to write their exam in terms of being certified as ISEB. So yeah, those are the levels. And to maintain your level, any of these levels, you need to attend INCOSE events. We have CPD points that you need to collect to stay current within the community. So yeah, all that information is available if you can follow that link at the bottom. Next slide. Yeah, one of the things maybe we highlight, which is what INCOSE is pushing these days, is our Vision 2035, which comes in two formats, an executive summary and a lengthy document. So those who have appetite in system engineering, maybe who wants to know where this field is going, I think the executive summary could be one of the first steps to just go and check it out and appetize yourself within this community to see what we are about and where are we heading. And yeah, based on your interest, then you can read the actual document that will elaborate even more. I think that will be the last slide on the introduction. Okay, in terms of some of the events that are upcoming, I mentioned that Mulawa had to go. So maybe I will flash quickly on the next few slides, some of the upcoming events. So next slide. Yes, we do have, especially at the MIA level, we do have that event that is coming now in April at Sevilla in Spain. So those of you who are interested, as you can see, it's hybrid. If you can't travel there, consider joining, subscribing for online kind of subscription. And also in July, we have our IAS, which is one of the biggest events that will be in US. So yeah, those are some of the big ones at high level. Then in terms of local chapter, those are some of the events that we had so far. And also we have our actual conference, which I will elaborate on the next slide, which is the ISEM. Next slide. So yeah, this year, our conference will take a little bit of a different tune. It will be a joint kind of event conference where we are collaborating with industrial community in terms of South Africa, and we are also collaborating with the University of Pretoria Graduate School of Management. So all three entities will be collaborating in this joint event. It will be hosted in Somerset West, which is in Cape Town here in South Africa. So yeah, everyone is invited. It will have some elements of streaming, some of the sessions that will be there. So yeah, those who are interested, do consider attending the event. And those, whether it's in Italian chapter or other international guys, Cape Town is always the best place to visit in South Africa. So you can consider starting booking those flight tickets. You'll get some good wine down there in the Capes. So yeah, it will never let you down. So yeah, that will be our biggest event for this year. And it will be in October later in the year. Next slide. Okay, now getting into the business of the day. I will try to, I see it's almost 13 past. Okay, I'll try to keep the intros short. I think we have Kirk in terms of the topic for today. Thank you for raising your hand. Yeah, the topic, it will be obviously the professional development portal that will be talked through. And you can see that his working experience there, he's been working in the Navy as a warfare officer with duty on combat and as an analyst. And you can also see that in terms of analyst, he also has a BSc in operation analysis from the US Naval Academy, as well as an MS operation research from Naval Postgraduate School. And after his retirement, he has also worked at the Navy. He worked at, after Navy, he has worked at Lockheed Martin, where he was a fellow for operation research analysis. And currently, which is part of his talk today, he is working here at the INCOSE through this PDP as a project manager. And he also teaches at the university in terms of advanced, basic and advanced Excel skills. On the next slide. And we also have Don, whom I also engaged a lot through one of the TLI programs. So he is the Director of System Engineering Programs at Forster Polytechnic Institute. And he has over 47 years of experience in government, industry, and academia. And before joining his current organization, he was a Deputy Director for Workforce Development in Office of System Engineering at the Pentagon, the Dean of Learning and Technology at National Defense University. And Don holds INCOSE Expert System Engineering Professional, which, as I mentioned earlier on, that is one of our highest certification in terms of the 3 levels I mentioned earlier on. And currently he serves as INCOSE Associate Director, Education and Training. I think with that introduction, I would like to thank both Kirk and Don in terms of making their time and preparing for this presentation for today. And with that said, we are looking forward to your presentation, and that will be it from the introductions. I hand over. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and share and turn it over to Don to get started.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kirk. And thank you very much, Francesco and BCM, for inviting us to your session today. We really appreciate that. We're very honored to be here. As you mentioned earlier, I'm the Associate Director for Education and Training for INCOSE, and Kirk is my program manager that actually does all the hard, heavy lifting for the professional development portal. So next slide, please. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the portal, give you a quick interview is exactly what is the PDP. We're going to talk about some coordination across all different INCOSE initiatives where the PDP is involved with. Then we're going to talk about some updates for our full operational capability, which is coming up at the IS in Hawaii in July. And then Kirk's going to give us a demo of the PDP itself. This is actually a live demo using the live system that's online right now. Okay, next slide, please. So what is this PDP thing? Well, way back in 2013, 2014 timeframe, the Corporate Advisory Board for INCOSE mentioned that one of their biggest needs was to have some place to go for professional development, because a lot of bigger companies have their own in-house training and things, and schools have their stuff, but some of the smaller companies just didn't have anything, and they wanted to have something where members can go and get information on system engineering. And we also wanted to be a service to other professionals in the field who actually deal with system engineering and system engineering, so it's not all just for system engineers to be in there. Basically, the portal is really, it's a knowledge portal, a knowledge broker that we try to hook up those who need the knowledge with those who have the knowledge. Okay, so we're basically focusing on system engineering knowledge and skills, abilities, behaviors, so on and so forth. So there are four main capabilities for the PDP. Okay. One of the big ones is to be able to conduct a competency self-assessment. This is based on INCOSE System Engineering Competency Framework, which we published back in 2018. There are 37 competencies. Each competency has has 5 levels of proficiency, and it's all this stuff's all spelled out and on the PDP under this self-assessment. So if you want to see where you stand in terms of competencies and proficiency levels or competence levels, just take the self-assessment. It's very easy to do, and Kirk will show you how to do that here in a couple minutes. The other big part of the PDP is being able to browse and search the catalog. At the current moment, we have over 700 learning resources. A learning resource is a collection of papers, presentations, webinars, tutorials, what have you, on certain topics of interest for system engineers. And we actually categorize all of the learning resources per a PDP taxonomy, which is primarily following the INCOSE competency framework. We also have some backup taxonomies, if you will, like the System Engineering Handbook, System Engineering Domains, some of the experience areas for certification, for example. So a lot of different ways to actually classify the content we put on the PDP. We also give everybody their own bookshelf. Okay, it's called My Bookshelf. Everybody has their own personal space to actually put results from their browsing and searching that they do. For example, let's say you're having your lunch, you got 15 minutes before your next meeting, you go to PDP and you look up systems thinking and you find several articles on it. Well, you don't have time to look at all of them right now, but you can put them on your bookshelf. So later in the evening, maybe after dinner, you come back, you want to look at some of these things, you bring your bookshelf up and there's your results. You don't lose them, they're right there. And you can also add notes to the results, to each of the results. So you have a note like, I want to go back and review chapter 10 or something. You can make notes yourself on your bookshelf, and Kirk will show you that as well. Another big feature about the PDP is the feedback mechanism. Every page down at the bottom has a way for you to provide feedback to us, the PDP administrators, on things like broken links, maybe some of the content is not classified correctly, maybe something's missing, maybe there's a bug in the system, your browser's not working right. Any of those kinds of things, send us feedback and we'll try to work with you, try to help solve your issues. Now, this is a fairly new program. I mean, our MVS was completed back in July of 2022 at the IS 22 out in Detroit. The initial operating capability is now online. That started back in October 2022. And as I mentioned before, the full operation capability is planned for IS 23 in Hawaii. Okay, next slide, please. So for those of you who are interested and know about architectures, this is kind of our operational view, if you will, of the PDP. We're there in the middle, and the person we have the most connection with are the users, okay, our members and CAB associate members and non-members can also access the PDP. They just can't get to everything that members and CAB associate members can get to. You notice we have connection with the mentors between the fellows and the system engineering professionals. Notice on the right-hand side, it's a big list of people that actually provide content to the PDP. We even have a lot of the heuristics that were developed by the fellows group or in the PDP as well. Down at the bottom, places we get content from, including the handbook, the System Engineering Body of Knowledge, the CBOK, Insight Publications, and System Engineering Journal. So there's a lot of wealth of information out there on system engineering, and the PDP is trying to really capture some of that and make that accessible to our members. Okay, next slide, please. Now, you might ask, how much do we actually coordinate across INCOSE? Is this just a little, stovepipe, walled off initiative? No. Okay, we've coordinated with a lot of different initiatives across INCOSE. Before the IOC, we worked at the System Engineering certification program. And we used their experience areas, I think there's 14, to help to create part of our PDP taxonomy. Of course, the CIO and IT developers are helping us build the PDP and to keep adding more capabilities as we go. The Competency Working Group, which I actually chaired back in 2018 timeframe, we developed the competency framework, which is actually a main part of the competency self-assessment for the PDP. We're working with Marcom to do marketing plans and campaigns for our different phases we go through. Technical operations, lots of technical products in the PDP, And we also use some of that stuff to actually create the taxonomy, like the 15288 processes, system engineering domains, and stuff that we use for the International Symposium Call for Papers. So basically, the reason we do that kind of categorization is to make it really easy and quick for you to find stuff on the PDP. Okay, it's not like doing a Google search on systems thinking and finding 50,000 things. Okay, you do a systems thinking search on PDP. You can also add to it what competency level, what competencies you're looking at, any experience areas. You can add different filters in there, and Kirk will show you those in a second, to really narrow down what you're looking for and to narrow down the number of results that you get. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, post IOC, still working. Even though we say IOC and full operating capability, we're still adding and growing a PDP, and I imagine we'll be doing that for the next several years. So certification program, we actually have a page on a PDP about certification. CIO and IT developers are still helping us to build it and grow it. Competency Working Group has actually developed and published a system engineering competency assessment guide, which we're planning on using in the PDP to make the competency self-assessment even more richer for people that are using that. I mentioned earlier, the fellows put together, the fellows heuristics team put together a group of heuristics and make those available in a PDP. We even have PDP and heuristics page that's available. And mentoring program, which is starting up in INCOSE, which is a big deal. We certainly encourage you to check that out. We also have a PDP and mentoring page on the portal. So we're very well connected with throughout INCOSE. Kirk and I have been doing a roadshow remotely, of course, with lots of chapters and groups and things about the PDP. So again, we're very honored to be able to brief your chapters on this. And I think now the next slide, Kirk, I think is you take over for the demo. No, I'm sorry, one more thing. What does the full operational capability mean? Well, we're going to have essential there, like have a blog capability, like Yammer, okay, is the INCOSE's internal blog setup, if you will. We have connections to that. It's already in there. Added date for curating some of the content is in there. Multi-language capability. We can actually handle stuff that's in different languages, okay? You still do searches and browsing in English, but you can find an article in German or an article in Swedish or an article in French or something.
Yeah, we don't have any yet, right, Don? But we had our first submission this morning by David Ward, who I think's online.
Yes, we did. So we're really happy to have that on there. We're going to add metrics, for page use, user use, so on and so forth. We'll put that on there. We are working with Wiley to get their hub also installed with the PDP. And some of the wow factors on the right-hand side here, these are factors that when you sit down and use a PDP and these things happen, you're like, wow, these are pretty neat. Okay, that's what we want to get, that wow factor, wow feeling by using the PDP. So we're adding filters. We're also having a 5-star feedback for learning resource cards, so people can give us feedback on what they think about the cards. PDP and certification page is up and running. We're also doing a completion report on the professional development that you've done that you can give to your manager. And we're certainly continually adding heuristics to the PDP. And we're going to give you the capability to actually arrange and sort things on your bookshelf. It's kind of neat. Looking at an advanced search capability, it really helps you to really kind of hone in on the stuff you're looking for on the PDP. And also being able to save previous filter browsing and searches. Instead of you have to do them over and over again, you can actually save them someplace and go back and redo them. So next slide. Okay, this is where Kirk takes over.
And just want to point out of the website, in case you haven't seen it before, it's fairly straightforward, incose.org/PDP. So easy to find. So I'm going to take us to the PDP and kind of go through the pages and talk about some things. And as Don mentioned, well, we have our homepage here, but we have our competency self-assessment, browsing the content catalog, and my bookshelf are those main things he showed on the slide. And we now have, that we just started a couple months ago, supporting pages. And I'll go through that. But on the homepage, I just want to start with, we have our operational status. We have a new capability. I will include that there. We have a welcome by the INCOSE president, Marilee Wheaton, and we have an overview of the PDP by Don. Now, as you see here, and I know it's the first time we've done one of these road shows where we have other countries that have different languages. And one thing that's available through Google, we didn't create this, but this is Google Chrome I'm in. And if I right click, it says translate to English. And if I go through here and I click the three dots to the right, choose another language, and you've got all these different languages that I did see Italian down there. So you can change to read in your own language here, the multi-language capability. We will be identifying it, but right now we only have things in English there, as we mentioned. So let me kind of take you through and how you may use it. And first thing is the CompSci self-assessment. And on each of these pages, we had a lot of, when we went through initial testing, folks as they learn on with short videos, with web page text, which is downloadable, frequently asked questions and downloadable detailed instructions on how to do the page. Well, it's been 6 months and we're working with IT and we're going to pull a lot of this off the pages. So you may come in here and the CompSci groups, as you see at the bottom, will come up to the top, but we're going to pull it off to a new how-to page, but they're here in case you needed to want to know what to do on the page. And in the future, it says if you want help on the page, go to the how-to page. But right now, that's what they are. So you don't have to look at all four, whatever you feel comfortable with. Well, let's start with the CompSci self-assessment. And this, as Don said, is from the INCOSE System Engineering CompSci framework. And in that framework, there are 5 CompSci groups, as you see here. And this is direct from there with their definitions for each of the groups. And each of these groups have a total of 37 CompScis. It's not equal. They change a little bit for the number there. But if you want to self-assess yourself, you could just go ahead and go ahead and get an idea, because if you know where you're at and you have a goal of what you need to be at work to get to the next job, to get what your manager wants to get to it, you at least know where your starting point is. So you can go self-assess, and it will come up with all the associated CompScis to that CompSci area, to that group. In the core group, we have systems thinking, life cycles, capability engineering, all the way down. And in the CompSci framework, there are 5 proficiency levels. How well do you understand that area, from awareness, supervised practitioner, lead practitioner, expert? And for the PDP, we added 2 other ones, unassessed, and that's the default. There's for most jobs, you're not going to try to assess yourself at all 37 CompScis at once. You may do 2 to 3. And so we just leave that as default, that you've unassessed it. And then we have unaware, if you don't even think that you're at the awareness level. So you get this, you read the definition. I really don't know which one of these areas I am. You can hit the view details, and this takes the page from the CompSci framework for the systems thinking CompSci area, and it lists for all the proficiency levels, the indicators are, the knowledge, the behaviors, the actions needed to do. And so you can go look at those. And for systems thinking, let's just say, for example, okay, I think I'm still at the awareness area. So I can go ahead and click that, and it will stay at the INCOSE website, saves it, maintains it in your member profile. So when you come back to it the next time, it will still be clicked. And if you want, it's the same for all 37 CompScis, so I'm not going to go through all 37. But if you want to go ahead and pass it on to your manager, your mentor, you can go to your browser's print function and hit print, and you have the capability to print it or to save it as a PDF for sharing. But what it will do for all the ones you've selected, it will provide the CompSci area name, the definition from the CompSci framework, the area with the indicators you're at, and then you can see for the rest of them for this working group, I didn't select them, they're all unassessed. Well, because I'm an ops research analyst, I do a lot of modeling and analysis. I have already selected that one for me, but otherwise it's got this, you can print it and save it. So that's how you do a CompSci self-assessment. Now, you've got that information. Let's look for material that we have here. As Don said, we have a little over 700 learning resources. And I'm going to go talk about the cards first. But our learning resources, just to get this up, remember, it's just 6 months old. It's a baby yet, is I took what was available. I saw on BCM slides on INCOSE Connect, the webinars that we've done from INCOSE Central. Took some working group tutorials. We have a couple textbooks. Decision analysis working group did a textbook on trade-off analysis. We've got that in here. Our boss, who's the services director now from Bristol, England, is Richard Beasley. He tagged every single page in the system engineering body of knowledge. That's in here. So we've got lots of things, and we're just now reaching out to training providers, our academic council, our chapters, our working groups to get more material. And over the next couple months, we have a capability. We're going to be getting more of the papers, presentations, and video recordings from past international symposia and past international workshops to get in here. So we're just starting with the content. We had to get the capability first. But with these content cards, these learning resource result cards, you'll see, for example, here, I've got the GFSE, the German chapter, webinar number 8, who the POC was, the presenter, some of the basic tags that we have associated with it, icons to let you know what type of media we have. You see the 4 people on the computer for a webinar, and then we have a PDF. We have www here for a website. We have a video recording here. Here's a course, because it's got the little hat, so you can't link to it there, but you can at least see what it is. And then it's got the publication date and a short description. Now, if you want to, as Don says, you got 15 minutes before a meeting, you can add to the bookshelf. I'm going to go ahead, add to the bookshelf. I'm not going to it right now, but I'm going to, well, I probably will, add to the bookshelf. So you see it's on the bookshelf now, because now I have removed from bookshelf. And then we only have the way to put 6 learning resources card on a page right now. So there's 118 pages. So you can cycle through them, but I'll show you how to shorten that list in a moment. But let's go to the My Bookshelf, and I'll open up one of these. And here's the one I just added, the German chapter webinar. And so I want to find out a little bit more about it. So I'll go ahead, I put it on my bookshelf to review later. And my bookshelf, whatever I put on is different than what Don would put on his. It's different than what you all would put on yours. So, and it's all saved in your INCOSE member profile. So I'll go ahead and I'll hit the Learn More. And when you hit the Learn More, you get the full abstract from what was there. You get all the way it was tagged, it was classified for our taxonomy areas, and I'll show you those in a moment. And then you have links. As Don said, we're a knowledge portal. We don't have anything, any actual material on this. We link to material and to where they're stored at in that. So folks update theirs, they keep the same link. We don't have to worry about that. But we have the links to it. Also on this page, which we just added at the end of January, the ability to rate these learning resources from 1 to 5 stars. And then you can type in information, and then Don and I will get information on, okay, this was classified with 5 stars. This was classified with 1 star. What are the comments? So we'll kind of take a look at those just to see which ones need taken off, which ones we need to update, etc. So that helps us out. And then we go ahead and, as Don said, we have the capability to go ahead and add notes. This is your notes. I need to go back and review slides in the PDF version 10 through 12. I need to understand this better, but they'll always be associated to that learning resource with you. And then you have at the bottom left of each page the feedback. You put your name and email in, what you'd like to see in the future. We're a service to members, so we want to know what you want. And then some general comments, if you have any. You recommend new material. You don't think the learning resource is classified incorrectly. You can report a bug. You can report a broken link. For David's comment in the chat, how many files, contributions do you expect predict over the coming years? Well, we've got well over 1,000 papers and presentations to get into the PDP. We hope to get IS 22 IS 21 in that, maybe before IS 23. So we'll have those coming in. We're reaching out to folks to get more information. So we're hoping, to keep building that, and there's no limit, and content could be added anytime. So it's just working with people to let go of their material, their tutorials and webinars. And we have Don and I meet with them, give them a half an hour overview of what to do. They fill things out on a spreadsheet and tag all their items, because they're going to be better knowing how to tag and classify their items. So we need to hear from them, but we hope to have, in the thousands as we go over, in the 5-year time frame at least. So let me go back here to my bookshelf, and or not my bookshelf, browsing the page. And I want to go, here's our filters. Here's where our tags are. And if you're ever not sure what's in the area, you can hit these question marks for competency group and competency area. This is the page from the competency framework that lists the 5 competency groups, each one different color, and all the associated competency areas and their definitions. So you can see what is included there. And then, so that's the competency area and competency framework. The proficiency levels, if you want to see the definitions from the competency framework for what it means to be at those laters, and you got the specific indicators when you do the competency self-assessment. We have also the SE domains. This is what the call for papers use for the international symposia. What domains that are being asked, you can see that there that we tag to. We have the ISO 15288 system engineering processes are in the SE handbook. We have the 14 systems engineering professional experience areas, and you can blow it up on your screen and that to take a look at it a little bit more, but that's kind of what BCM was talking about with those experience areas. And these attributes and these general topics are ad hoc that weren't in those 4 main areas. But like, for example, we know systems engineering is doing artificial intelligence. Our CIOs, I think one of the leads for our artificial intelligence working group. We have certification training for all the certification training providers, digital engineering, heuristics, MBSE. So there's a lot of things that weren't in those 4 areas. We wanted to make sure that it was included. So those are the filters. And when you filter items, it will be or within a filter group and across. So I'm going to go ahead and filter for systems thinking, since that's what I did. And I want to go take a look and see how many learning resources there are. So as I'm doing this, please take a look at the 707 learning resources. So I'm going up to the competency group, I'm hitting core, and that reduced it down to 334. A lot of things we had on Connect were primarily, a lot for the core working group. And then I want to go to, there's critical thinking, but I want to go to systems thinking. And I'm going to just do a double one here. Well, I'll do a double one coming up here. So we see now there's 118 learning resources. Now, if I select a proficiency level as awareness, I go down to 95. If I include practitioner, because that's where I want to go to, I'm back up to 157. If I want to just include the critical thinking also, you see it's still stayed about 158. So that's how you can filter and down select, and you can keep using filters to get there. And then you can cycle through the learning resource results cards, put them on your bookshelf, and be able to look at them later. And as you saw on Don's FOC list, is one of the things that we're doing before IS 23 is we're going to have 3 pages. Right now, it just goes to 1 page in my bookshelf, but it's going to go to 3. Just added, in progress, and completion. And then it's going to go ahead and be able to sort on that also. Final thing on the main pages that I want to go up is to the home. You can also come down here, and will be higher up when we do our revision of the pages. We have a basic search now to look by POC or author, phrase in the title, or phrase in the abstract. I know Don's school has micro courses that make up a digital engineering certificate. And so I can click on his school, WPI, and all the courses will come up there. So you can check on You know, if you know an author, you can check to see there. But the advanced search is going to be to search by date, by media, to search the papers and presentations. There's going to be a lot more in the advanced. And before I turn it back to Don, just real quick, I want to go over the supporting pages. These are pages we just started with, probably at the International Workshop time, where the PDP supports that area in INCOSE, or that area supports us. And since BCM was talking about certification earlier, you start out here on this page, and if you want to go to all the certification pages on INCOSE.org, you've got a link here to take you there. It talks about getting ready to get your certification. And we all know that the knowledge exam is based on the System Engineering Handbook Volume 4 right now. Volume 5 is coming out and they'll update it. But if you want to get more information on topics in the System Engineering Handbook, you can search for those in the PDP to get yourself some more information. It's got some information on the certification training providers. BCM mentioned PDUs, certification continuing education units. I worked with our certification program manager, looked through her list of PDUs, and these are things that are on the certification PDUs that you can do here and in the PDP. So, we created on the learning development page is the ability to learn about learning development, you know, make your own plan, and where you can get it in INCOSE services. But this is a screenshot. You can link to it at the bottom of the page. But I built this to be consistent with the certification update, name, start date, end date, activities. This is the pull down menu. It has all these activities here that are in certification PDUs, your description of what you did, when you started it, when you ended it, and if it could be for certification PDU. And then you can just copy and paste in your thing for certification. The overall goal is to automate it. And just to end up where some of the PDP and future plans page is where what we're thinking about after IS 23, information about the heuristics, the fellows heuristics committee put together. We're on this page here now. Information on the pilot that's going on with mentor-mentee matching. And then when they get through the pilot by IS 23, we'll have updates on the INCOSE mentoring program. And then discussions, professional development and PDP discussions is where we can go to do discussions, ask queries, anything like that. And the areas are here: posing a question, conducting polls, posting discussions, and it will take you to our Yammer site that Don mentioned that each of the different groups are having within INCOSE. It's our way to kind of our blog capability. So Don, I think I covered a basic, probably too quick and too fast, but did I forget anything that you wanted me to bring out?
No, I think you did a good job, Kirk. I can't think of anything that you didn't cover. I would, you know, this is a quick demo, a quick fire hose, if you will. And I would encourage everybody to go to, you know, INCOSE.org/PDP and check it out. It's live, it's running there. You can have your own account because you have to log into INCOSE, of course, as you normally do. And if you just go to the INCOSE.org homepage, there's a big banner at the top that gives you access to the PDP.
And we've been doing this. I will send this brief to the leads of this session. So you will have it and you can share it with your anybody. So you've got the website and go check it out yourself. So I'll send it to the Francesco, BCM, Carlos, as we go through there.
Great. Francesco, you have a question.
Yeah, thank you very much for this interesting webinar. The focus was on retrieving documents, products, and to get knowledge from this nice tool. Can you say also a few words on how we can contribute to provide resources that can be, let's say, archived into this professional development portal? So if, for instance, I have an article that I want to add there, how can I do it?
Okay, well, first thing to do is for you to contact Kirk and myself, and we'll set up a session to walk you through all the steps. But basically, the steps are, we'll work with you, and you have to classify your material per the taxonomy. Okay, does it, is it at a awareness level or is it at expert level? What competencies does it cover? Systems thinking, critical thinking, model-based engineering, what have you. Okay, and then once you get it classified per all that information, we also need like POC, organization stuff. But the real nice thing about the PDP is it doesn't really store anything. Okay, wherever your material is, it'll stay there. You just need to provide us a link to that material. Okay, so the database that kind of powers the PDP is a set of abstracts, information, metadata tags about the material, about the learning resources and things, and links to where to find that material. Once we get all that, go ahead, Kirk.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't have to worry about memorizing all those taxonomy areas, Francesco, is because in the spreadsheet we'll give you, because I give you an Excel spreadsheet because I can tweak it and tailor a little bit to upload into our smart sheet that we use in INCOSE a lot. I use it in outreach for outreach arms, and we use it quite a few places, but it has pull down menus. So, you don't have to think about what area and stuff like that. And it's really, we'll take about anything as long as it can be tagged somewhere according to the taxonomy, is what Don was saying. And if it can be tagged, we more than welcome it, because now that we got the capability there, we want to, and that's why we like to do these shows on the road. We want to get your interest, to get your material in it and available. It's just another way. And you got, I know on, you saw on BCM slide, 18,000 plus members. That's our full members, student and senior, et cetera, plus our CAB associates. So that gets it out there. It gets another place for take a look at. But it's just a way to go. It right, Don. I know I cut you off there.
No, you're fine. You're absolutely right. I checked the INCOSE website, and it's now up to 20,600 members, including CAB associates. So it's growing every day. I mean, anytime you write down a number, you're wrong, because it keeps increasing and everything. But having 20,000 people have access to your material is phenomenal, especially otherwise it's kind of buried someplace. Somebody doesn't know it's there. But if they go in the PDP, look for something, they found your stuff, there it is. I mean, you've made it accessible to them.
Thank you very much.
For the question here, I'll take, is there a way materials always update and review? I was going to answer it, but since there was a little bit of a break there, is that we just added, one of the things you saw on Don's slide, what we're getting done by IS 23, was we added a date, add a date. That's for curation. And we're going to be reaching out to the System Engineering Tools database and see how they're maintaining the tools in there to learn from their experiences and that. But this gets us to go in. One way is when that date comes up to go back and review the material to see if it's current. But the other thing is when we get feedback from you all as a service to members telling us, say, hey, I think this is outdated and that you might need to check it. So between members that are reviewing it and between us with the curation that we're going to be doing, we're going to make sure that it's updated and reviewed appropriately. So right. Good questions.
Exactly. And I think what Carlos was getting into here was leaving the material where it's located, like at the source's site, or at the original place where it was. If they update it, our links will still work and we'll get the updated material. So as long, overall goal, yes. As long as you don't change the link on us. If you change the link, then we can't get to it. But if you update your material and change the link, make sure to tell us so we can put that into the PDP.
If you don't, we'll find people giving us a broken feedback, a broken link, and then we'll reach out to you. So
yeah, we'll find out one way or another. So BCM, you have a question?
Yeah, thank you. Well, my question it's general. For example, we have 5 areas of competencies as it stands. So maybe to some members, they will be asking themselves a question. So to be classified or becoming that system engineer, I have to fulfill all these competencies and probably in all of them. So maybe is there a guide, maybe say out of the 5 competencies, maybe if in 3 of them you are in this level or something like that. So what would be a typical guide so that people can also know how to plan around this portal in terms of knowing that they are at the right level, more or less? Is there a
Well, the
guide
thing is
around
that,
that?
there's 5 competency categories. Okay, the core, professional, technical, management, and integrating. And you just kind of, if you have access to the competency framework, which actually the competency framework document is on the store and it's free to everybody as a PDF download. So you have that. If you have an idea of what a competency group you're looking at, what competency area you're looking at, the PDP has explanations of that. It says, what does awareness mean? What does professional mean? What does practitioner mean? And then you look at that, you say, okay, do I do these kinds of things? So, for example, bring up core, Kirk.
Yeah, I was just going to show here that it is available. The competency framework is available on the competency self-assessment page too.
Right,
We got
right.
permission to put it there. But I'll bring up core.
So you look there, so core is what? Systems thinking, life cycles, capability engineering. So if you're thinking of systems thinking, but you don't know what that really is, hit the details button. There you go. And now this comes directly out of the competency framework. And each of these areas shows you what it means to be aware, what it means to be an expert. And then you may look at these and go, well, I got more practitioner than supervised practitioner, but I still have a couple of weird things. I'm still doing some things an expert. So it's kind of fuzzy in that regard. But whenever you pick, whichever one you pick is what you're most identified with. Okay, in other words, you do the most things in that particular set of key indicators.
And we're trying to get some learning development plan examples to go on that learning development page. But if you know where you're at by doing a self-assessment BCM, and then you've got the job requirement, what your manager wants, for you to achieve to, and maybe it won't say do this competency and these indicators, but you see the types of things you want to do. You can compare to what's here in the proficiency level to kind of work a plan to get to that next level of competency. And you don't have to know all 37. Like I said, your job may only use a few of them, and you may not need all 37. And Don, I know you worked more in certification than I did, for the certification areas, but I know we're talking about down the road, 3-5 years, don't know what the time frame is to make a competency-based certification too.
Right. So, so be considered a system engineering expert, for example. You don't have to pick expert in every 37 of the competencies. Okay. We don't expect anybody to be able to do that. But it would be nice if you were expert in a couple of them, somewhere along the way. And I think that if I recall, the CSEP application, you have to show some level of proficiency in 6 of the 14 experience areas. You have to kind of show, so they're looking for some breadth, if you will. But they're also looking for leadership and some, depth in a couple of the areas. The same thing for the competency framework. So I hope that answers your question. Okay.
Thanks. Yeah.
Francesco.
Yeah, I have another question and also a proposal. The question is possible, or it is planned to have the function to somehow export the search results in, for instance, Excel format or in other formats in order to allow people to do something more complicated with the list provided by the portal? This is the question. And about the proposal, due to the fact that I think it is always appealing and inspiring to tell stories about how users are facing this nice tool. Maybe it would be nice to ask David Ward, who I know is already using this tool extensively, to report his experience. This maybe could be a nice story to report to the others.
Okay, so for the first one, Kirk, I don't think we talked about doing any kind of Excel exporting search results, did we?
No, just to save the search results to do in the future, and then putting non-PDP stuff that you might find in the MBSE, OMG Wiki, other external sites into our bookshelf. So there's things we're doing, but that's a nice idea. We just haven't thought about it before. So thank you, Francesca.
And as far as the
I'm just throwing out
proposal,
this slide here to have our emails while we're discussing if you need
there
them.
you go.
Okay.
I think,
thank you very
Francesca, I
much.
think what you're talking about are like use cases. Experience with the PDP. Somebody comes in, does these kinds of things. There's experience. We would love to hear stories about that.
Okay.
Or just kind of a step by step what happened and what results you got back and everything. We could even take that whole thing and publish it in the PDP.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's in our future plans. Use cases or what they found, what they liked about any experiences we would like to include in the future, but may not be before IS 23. But at the workshops, you mentioned that you'd participated a couple there in our 3 workshops from our users, our members. We got 45 new things they want us to do with the PDP. So now we got to prioritize and balance because, again, we're in our infancy, but we want to make this a good service for you all to come back and your people recommending it to your folks and have them come to it too.
Understand. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Anybody else? Any other questions? Go ahead, BCM.
This one, maybe, I don't know if it's already existing on the portal. If I have made an assessment, do I have history? Let's say I've done assessment when I can see what was my last assessment. Does it capture that, the portal?
Whatever your current assessment is will stay. When you do an assessment and then you log out and log back in a couple of days later, that same assessment will still be there. But when you change it, we don't maintain a history file.
Oh, okay.
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 So
Now, you could, well, as I said, you could print it out, you could save it as a PDF.
That's
you
true.
could save it as a PDF, date it, and then when you go back to update it after work on that, you could put a new date so you could maintain your own history.
There you go. That's a good idea. Yeah, you can do that.
Okay. Now, I think you mentioned that there's 1,000 requests to improve the portal because we are all excited, I think. But yeah, I think maybe in future, hopefully, we can have such a feature. And maybe another thing, something like, I know for the certification exam, at some point there's rules you can't rewrite after this period of time. But I think for now, things like that, maybe for future to say, okay, assessment, maybe it's captured so that even you go to your manager, maybe you lose something, the portal is captured. This is how I've progressed over the last, my first assessment, I was in this level, these areas. Now a year later, here's a comparison of improving these areas or something like that,
Right.
But yeah,
exactly.
future improvements. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Carlos?
One of the greatest advantages which I saw, and I'm really come now to understand what the service is this clarification of the terms. So many times there is uncertainty about and misinterpretations of what the system engineering terms means in day-to-day practice. And so having descriptions with a checklist which we saw before, I think it's a really useful resource because clarifies things that are in the area of terminology uncertainty.
Absolutely.
Very, very valuable content. Absolutely.
Well, thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, from a trustable source like INCOSE, because everyone can furnish his own interpretation, but the point is this is one trustable source.
Exactly. And you mentioned earlier about trustability, quality, generality, standardization, advantages. Absolutely, because the material that we get from known sources. Okay, known INCOSE associated sources, certification training providers, schools. We know about everything. And we don't, like I say, don't create stuff from scratch. We get stuff that's already out there, already being contributed by known quality sources. So stuff in the PDP you can take to the bank, so to speak. Anybody else?
Anyone from the audience who wants to intervene?
Yeah, don't be shy. Okay, well,
Well, I think
Francesco, back to you. I think we can wrap this up.
And I want to thank you all for inviting Don and I. I mean, we're excited about it. If you can't, can't understand that. We think it's coming along. We've learning thing from the members. So we're always putting new stuff in it, those whole supporting pages. If we can support the members, support you all, then we think we're on track and doing the job that you all want us to do. But having the opportunity to come explain it to it since it's so new, we really appreciate that. And so thank you for allowing us to speak today. I know that Don will have some comments too, but thank you for inviting us. And if you have questions, just reach out to us.
Oh, thank you to you. It was a pleasure and also an honor to have you both here. And I think these kind of services are perfectly aligned with INCOSE mission to promote, encourage systems engineering knowledge. And I recognize in my experience that sometimes there is not a perfect connection between local organizations in INCOSE and local chapter members. They are not aware about the great services, products, and the vast amount of knowledge that INCOSE is providing. So I think what you have done and you are continuing doing is just great and significantly important for us. So I think I leave the floor to BMC and Carlo, who are the, let's say, master of ceremony of this. And again, thank you very much. I really appreciate.
You're very welcome.
I'll let y'all go. I got to go to another thing here, but thank you for that, because I think that's all for the PDP that you wanted from us, correct? Yep. Okay. Yep. We'll see you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you to everyone, and thank you for all the participants. It was a really great session, much more interesting than the premises, and this for sure is one of the first steps, not the first, one of the first steps of cooperation among the chapters, which gives the sign of an effective and useful cooperation. Thank you also to UBM, DCM, and to all the participants.